Hey everybody, so today I saw Dumbo, aka Sad Elephant, the movie. This movie is directed by Tim Burton, starring Colin Farrell, Michael Keaton, Danny DeVito, and Eva Green. Uh, starting it off the bat, this movie is primarily CGI, especially in the early beginning scenes. You can really tell, and it's very jarring. A lot of the actors in the opening scenes are filmed on their own by themselves against a green screen, and they're digitally placed in with each other to make it look like they're interacting with each other, when in reality they're not. It is very jarring and off-putting, and you can clearly tell that it's fake. Starting off with the acting, both the kids who play Colin Farrell's children are terrible actors, and the daughter is an absolute asshole who has a negative character arc, in my opinion. Speaking of which, for the acting, Eva Green, Colin Farrell, and Michael Keaton all have very weird and off-putting accents throughout the entire movie, and it's just weird seeing everyone else seemingly having a relatively normal accent, especially the children, and then hearing Colin Farrell talking this weird Kentucky accent, and then I think Michael Keaton has a New York accent, and then Eva Green has a French accent, but none of them sound accurate or good at all. Other than that, Danny DeVito, he has / is having fun in this movie, even though he really doesn't do that much. I really would have liked to have seen some more of him. He was a big draw for this movie, was seeing him and Keaton back on screen together, and unfortunately, you just don't get that much of him, and he really doesn't do all that much. Everyone else in the movie is fine, except for some absolute shit background acting, in my opinion. Oh, and I might as well throw this out there as well. It's not really that much of a spoiler, but Michael Keaton is just playing a caricature of Walt Disney. He owns a theme park and everything, and it's kind of funny and ironic to see that in a Disney movie. But my biggest problem with this movie overall is that it's pretty much just a small animal movie, which, if you've ever seen one like this, Homeward Bound, Dog's Journey, Dog's Way Home, which came out in January, I believe. They're all emotionally manipulative on purpose. They're intentional to make you feel something for the characters, for the actors. They're usually never very good movies, or never usually very high budget, but they end up getting a little bit of money back because enough people go to see it because they want to see the little cute animal on screen. And unfortunately, that's what this movie is. Even though Dumbo is a fake CGI baby elephant, I did feel some genuine goddamn emotion for this thing, and a few scenes that were rather tense, and it tended to draw me into the movie more than I thought it would. I found myself getting misty-eyed a lot more than I thought I would have going into this movie, and it's because of this goddamn CGI elephant, and it was almost shocking to me. It's not a bad thing that it did this to me. I just have a personal vendetta with films like that. This one, unfortunately, it's a high-budgeted one from Disney with some actual actors that I like and respect. Looking at You, A Dog's Journey. But in the end, I still rather liked this movie. I'm a big fan of the original 1941 one, the animated movie. I have a very soft spot in my heart for this movie. It's got its own little home down there with my family. And a lot of the key factors and things that happen in this movie are in it. This movie is very true to the source material of Dumbo. There are some things that they don't use intentionally because it is a more of a live action movie, and you can't really do some things, especially in 1941. Things were a lot different. But those things they don't use or cut out from the original version are repurposed in some way. The little train that drives everything, which is, I believe, anthropomorphic, he is shown, and he looks like he has a smiling face at the beginning of the train. The scene where Dumbo gets drunk off of champagne or beer is not in there. They do reference it with a clown coming up and asking if Dumbo wants some champagne, but Danny DeVito says no. Then later in the movie, he actually does have, if you recall, he has that dream where he sees pink dancing elephants. He doesn't have that actual dream in the movie, but when they get to the big top circus, they do have people blowing bubbles with the pink elephants, and they do a lot of homages like this throughout the movie. But in conclusion, to wrap this all up, I try not to let nostalgia or personal vendettas come with me into the movies. I try to go in as open-minded as possible and as clear-minded as possible, trying to avoid all readings or spoilers or anything like that for any movie I go to see. However, with this movie, it's been particularly tough for me to try to discern the two. The fan in me, the fan of Disney and animation, old classic animation, really enjoyed this movie and liked what Tim Burton did. But the critic in me did not care for it all that much. It's flat and devoid of any particularly great performances, and is very not much like a Tim Burton movie. There's really no Tim Burton isms in the movie except for some steampunk stuff when they get to the theme park. But aside from that, you really can't tell it's a Tim Burton movie. It could have been directed by anybody. So for the first time in my career, I'm going to give this movie two different scores. I'm going to give it a fan score, and I'm going to give it a critic score. First up, for the fan, I'm going to give it a 7.7 out of 10. If you're a big fan of old Disney or Disney in general, I think you would really enjoy this movie and really like it. My critic score is going to be a little bit lower. I'm going to go with a 6.3 out of 10. And that might change. If I do decide to change it, I will put out a Redux tweet. But for right now, I'm going to stick it right at a 6.3. It's either way, I think you can go in this movie and have a little bit of fun with it. It's not terrible. It's not bad. It's just okay. An okay movie gets a 6.3 out of 10.